So the final session is called Telling Our Story, which is super important. We will be in conversation with the movers and shakers that are making change within their industries by pushing Black stories, talent and culture to the forefront. Hear from those making moves to encourage greater diversity, those that are showcasing our rich history, and from the trailblazers breaking milestones.
Yeah, and we're going to start off with a video from Hollywood actor Hakeem K. Kazim. And straight after, we're going to have Kike and Daniel Davids, who is an actor from the film Two.
So can we roll that film?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the BYP Network Leadership Conference 2022 session called Telling Our Story. This is the last session in the day, so thank you all for being here throughout. I'm so excited by this session. We have the incredible Hakeem Kai Kazim, who has joined us all the way from Rwanda, so that's why he's not here in person, as we talk about his new directorial debut on It's the Blackness. Hakeem Kai Kazim has done many movies, so including Hotel Rwanda, Gorilla vs. Kong, as well as Pirates of the Caribbean. So thank you so much for joining us, Hakeem.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very, very much. And it's great to be part of this BYP conference of yours, and empowering young people of color is a fantastic initiative. So I'm very humbled to be part of it. Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you so much for joining us. So I know I gave a bit of an introduction about yourself, but please do tell the audience about who you are and what you've done.
Well, I'm an actor, producer, now director. I've just done my directorial debut. I started off in theatre, doing things like the Royal Shakespeare Company and the Royal National Theatre, then into television and doing TV shows like 24 and Law and Order, and well, films like Pirates of the Caribbean, Wolverine, King Kong versus Godzilla, and many other films on the African continent. This film's called Fight Like a Girl, and yeah, I mean, I can't even remember half the stuff I've done, but that's sort of a brief resume of me. And this is my directorial debut. So I produced a couple of films which went off to Toronto Film Festival. One of them was called Man on Ground, out of South Africa, and God is African. And now I'm sort of moving into the directorial sort of arena, which is very, very exciting for me. And my directorial debut is It's the Blackness.
And It's the Blackness, right? It's all about two Black boys that graduate a top university and essentially struggle to get a job. And what's funny about that is that's like BYP Network, why we exist, to help Black professionals get jobs and get opportunities. So tell me a bit more about the movie and how it came about for you to be the director.
Yeah, so yeah, It's the Blackness is about two young, brilliant college graduates. So one of them is actually a Jamaican who's on a scholarship, and the other was a Nigerian British boy. And they come out of Oxford University with two first-class degrees, but then they find that they're rejected in the marketplace of trying to get jobs. And we've done it it's a comedy. So, you know, we're trying to sort of show, it's a coming-of-age comedy, and trying to show that even though the world outside can be harsh, they deal with it, and their journey is one of it's dealt with within a humoristic sort of backdrop, so that we try and get the message across, rather than slamming people on the head with the message. It comes through the humor of it, but the message is very serious. It is about people not being able to get jobs, structural and institutional racism. It's also about love and family, you know, and yeah, and I'm very proud of that, because the whole idea of this film is also to show people of color, Black people, that are not just from underprivileged working class backgrounds, and where there's guns and drugs on the streets, but there's also a different narrative that we have, and you know, very rarely do we see those stories of us just being who we are, being middle class Black people, and our journey and our struggle. So very proud of being able to do this. The script is really, really wonderful. So it was a great opportunity for me. And the opportunity came in because I was asked. I did a thing called The Real Thing during lockdown, which is me going into a virtual world of teaching drama, which I was terrified about, first of all, because I thought I had nothing to say, but did this. And my friend Alex, who had asked me to come and do this, he said, you know, you were a hit. It was fantastic. Fast forward to 3 or 4 months later, and I get a phone call from him saying, oh, somebody is really interested in you directing this film. And initially I was like, yes, I haven't done this before. There's no way I'm going to do this. But I'll talk to the, you know, he said, talk to the producer, writer, and see. So I did. I spoke to Dapo and had a conversation with him, read the script and loved it. And then I thought, you know what? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. And I think that's a narrative that I'm sure you young people out there must go. You must go for it. Go for it, because, you know, all you can do is fall on your bum and pick yourself up and say, okay, at least I tried. So yeah, at least I tried. And that was it. And I'm so pleased that I did it, because it was a wonderful journey. It's a wonderful story. It means a lot to me because it resonates a lot with my family and my upbringing. So I was very proud to be part of this little piece that we're doing.
Well, it's not little, it's huge, but there's just so much to unpack with what you said. One, in terms of, as you said, the audience that will watch this movie, you know, it's the Blackness. It's here to let people know that it's not just one narrative. It's not just gangs. It's not just, you know, knife crime as the media likes to portray. There are, you know, Black graduates, Black students, Black professionals who are trying to get jobs or who are trying to be leaders within industries, but actually systemic racism is a real thing and it does stop people from progressing. And obviously everyone here at the conference today are here to learn. You know, this is all about knowledge is power. And again, this film will give them a lot of knowledge, a lot of power as well to step into. But even going back to you choosing to be director, saying yes to that opportunity, how did that feel for you? And what can you give to those attending today that, you know, like you said, don't be afraid to step into that?
Yeah, I mean, what did it give to me? Well, it gave me the thought, you know, come on, boy, you've got to step up and be brave. I mean, certainly that gave that to me. And I think just the whole idea of trying something out of your comfort zone can sometimes be the most rewarding and exciting thing to do. I mean, I can't believe how excited and how rewarding this project was, in terms of casting the actors, in terms of being on set every day with the crew, and in terms of suddenly not being in front of the camera, being on the other side of it, being in charge of a crew, making sure that everybody's happy and everybody's focused on the work and all of that sort of thing. Yeah, it was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful blessing for me. And I'm so pleased that I did it. It's been very, very, very empowering. It's given me a food for thought on many, many different sort of ways. And I think sometimes as a young, I'm no younger lung, but young, but, you know, as a Black man, but as when I was young, you know, to try and take those opportunities were very, not that they would come up very often, but, you know, sometimes you have to just push hard and push against the grain to try and take those opportunities. And I think that, I hope that, you know, your young people begin to do that and make their own way, because sometimes that's the only way that you can do. And I say that because this film is done by us who are making our own way. It's not produced by the British Film Institute or anything like that. It's us who wanted to tell this story. Apo, the producer, writer, has put a lot of his own funds into this so that we can tell a story which we don't feel has had a platform or a voice.
Mm. And just off the back of that, so just off the back of what you're saying, what kind of impact do you hope this film will have on society at large?
You know, I hope it's empowering. I hope it's certainly empowering for young Black people, and I hope that it resonates in the broader sort of context of society and understanding the journey that we, as people of color, as young Black people of color, trying to get into the marketplace and what they go through. So I hope that it resonates on many different levels.
And what's next for you in the director space? Do you hope to do?
Oh yeah, we'll have to see. You know, I'm excited because you're right. It is now. Suddenly, my mind is thinking, what is next for me? I mean, I have projects which I'm producing and writing and co-writing with that I'm very, very, very excited about, and want to step in both as an actor and a director on these projects. So, you know, it's a question of me now pushing ahead with that and pushing ahead with my ambition in that field of telling stories from a directorial perspective.
And what advice will you give to others who want to kind of be where you are, you know, an esteemed actor, now director as well, producer, writer? What can others do to kind of get there?
I think, you know, just work hard and just work hard and keep the inner belief that, you know, that you can do it. And yeah, hard work, just keep going and don't give up, just hard work, keep going, and keep that inner belief. But as I tell my children, it's practice makes perfect.
Yes.
Keep going at it, because no matter how brilliant you are, if you have this natural brilliance, if you don't work hard at it, it's not going to take you anywhere. That person that's working may not be as talented as you, but is working 10, 20, 30 times harder than you are, is going to succeed. So it is about really working hard.
Well, we're about to draw to a close, but how can people find out more about It's the Blackness? And when can they look forward to seeing it in the theaters?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure when we're going to get it. I mean, it's going to be next year, definitely. But I'm not quite sure of the timelines yet. We're still sort of doing a lot of prep and doing the final edits and all that sort of thing. But maybe looking at late summerish. And I think just follow it. It's the Blackness. Look it up online and Google, and it'll be, once we start to get the marketing going, we'll definitely let you guys know and everybody else there. But in the meantime, you can look up and Google It's the Blackness and see what comes up. But we hope to see you all at the cinema. To see you out there and watching this thing, and I hope you all gain something from it.
Well, we will definitely do a big event, so we'll make sure we get everybody to mobilize and come along and support. And something that the audience don't know is that BYP Network are kind of sponsors of the film. So
thank you, BYP. Yeah.
So make sure next summer you all watch. So thank you so much, Hakeem, for joining us, and hope to see you soon.
All the best. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
That was
Very
really
insightful,
good.
wasn't it?
Yeah, really
Absolutely
insightful.
love that. Right, we're going straight in to the panel discussion. So we would like to welcome to the stage.
Yep, Priscilla Igwe.
1 second. No, us two first.
Oh, you want to talk?
Oh, she's trying to come for our job. Go for it. We'll wait here. Yeah.
Sorry, everyone. So we're here with Daniel. So he is one of the main actors in It's the Blackness. So we wanted to give him kind of a few minutes on stage to talk a bit more about it. Unfortunately, we didn't get a trailer, but we can all imagine it. We're all the Black professionals who have graduated, so we get it. So, Daniel, tell us a bit more about your role at It's the Blackness.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. First of all, it's such a big audience. So I play Eniola, who is a young graduate from one of the best unis in the UK, and he has a master's degree, and he just struggles to get a job. And his best friend is from Jamaica, and he's here on a scholarship, and he's trying to also get a job, but he's finding it really hard, and he's got family to provide for in Jamaica, and if he doesn't get a job, he'll be sent back. So I don't want to give too much away, but that is kind of the kind of things he's facing throughout. And Eniola, alongside that, is also facing his girlfriend and what's going on between him and her, without spoiling it, and also his family's reaction to everything that's going on around him. So he's facing a lot, and it's very difficult, but it's dealt with with such humor and such joy. And it's a note that Hakeem always said to us on set, anytime we were about to do a scene, was bring the joy to the scene. Where is the joy in this? Can we find the joy in this? Because we don't want everything to feel gloomy and dark, because that's not what we want life to represent. It's not what we want life to represent for Black people. And we just want everyone to feel kind of a positive vibe from it. So, yeah.
And do you feel like your own life experiences have kind of embodied Eniola's role, or your role as Eniola?
Yeah, I think this was one of the first projects where I felt very related to the character, in the sense that I've felt in points of my life as an actor where I wanted to give up, or where I wanted to stop, or I'm running out of ideas. And in those moments is where you find some kind of inner drive, find some kind of inspiration that pushes you to keep going. And I don't really always know where that comes from. And Eniola finds that in the movie as well. And that's kind of how I choose to live my life, and that's what I brought to Eniola's character.
Amazing. And what do you hope people take from It's the Blackness as a movie?
I want people to feel stronger after watching that show, after watching the movie. I want them to feel like they can do anything. I want them to feel that no matter what they're going through, they can just keep pushing. And that's the positive message that I think the film represents.
And I just want to kind of throw a spanner in the work, right? You spoke about joy and positivity, keeping the optimism, but kind of why? You know, if you've just graduated from top university, you've you've got to sell a CV, you're getting rejected left, right, and center. Why should you stay optimistic?
Because I feel like, you know, you put in all that time and effort, you put in the love and the care into getting that degree, making your family proud as well as for yourself. You've got to see the end goal. You've got to see it out. You've got to find the destination where you want to be. Because I don't believe in settling. That's just me as a person. I can't speak for others. I don't believe in settling. I believe in always going for more. And I think that's why you should stay positive in it.
Yeah. And not everybody has degrees, right? That's just the fact.
No.
So if, again, people are struggling after even having a degree, what about those who didn't get a degree? What kind of advice would you give to them?
Well, this is the thing. So I went to university. I studied at Queen Mary, and I did like a drama degree. And for a long time, I felt like that degree did nothing for me. And to a certain extent, I still sometimes feel like that. So it was finding other pathways around university that was more important to me. Like, what can I get involved in? Is there acting groups I can get involved in? Is there people I can meet? How do I network? What does network take? Because, you know, speaking to people isn't always easy. Being up on stage, talking in front of people isn't always easy. And practicing that in front of people was something I found useful. And also Hakeem as well, you know, he's a lovely guy and he's very inspirational. And I got to just the opportunity to watch him on set rally the troops in a way. Every day, no matter how you were feeling tired or, you know, run down, he could get you back up. So seeing people who were inspirational to me, finding different routes and ways around things was kind of my kind of journey.
And acting is such a hard industry to break. I don't know if you're part of the UK versus USA wars on black actors, but what advice would you give to those who want to get into acting?
Yeah, I started really young. So I started about when I was 11. And so I've been in this for about 15 years now. And it was so different starting where I started to where it is now. Like, I felt like when I was young, I could only get a certain type of roles. And now I feel like I could play a cowboy or a superhero or, you know, be in Marvel movies. And that wasn't ever a thing for me. And I didn't realize how important it was to see other black faces in leading roles until I got to the age of 20 or 20 odd. So it's really important to just try new things. There's so much more opportunities. There's things like Go Hub, which I think is based in South London. Shout out to them. They do an amazing kind of brutal but fun workshop where you get a script a few days before and then a few days later you're just in front of people in a room just working through scenes. You know, things like that. Just meeting other actors and trying things, filming show reels, getting material. These are the kind of things I think will definitely give you a chance at being in this crazy industry.
Well, rumor has it is that David is the next big thing. So, you know, make sure you get his details. We're looking at the biggest star in the UK. So how do people follow your journey and just kind of keep in touch?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, Daniel__Davids. And my IMDb page is always being updated. And I've got some, as well as It's the Blackness, I've got some great kind of projects coming out next year, which is very different to It's the Blackness. But yeah, I think things you'll really enjoy. So just keep a lookout for that.
Amazing. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Do excuse that. Sorry, a little bit of confusion there. Thank you so much. Please put your hands together one more time.
Ooh. Are you having a good time? Kike, are you having a good time?
Yes.
That's important. That's good. That's good. Let's proceed.
Okay, well, we are now going to head into the panel discussion. So can we welcome to the stage
Priscilla Igwe, Managing Director of the New Black Film Collective, who spent the last decade in film exhibitions within the black media sector. She's currently the Managing Director of the New Black Film Collective. And in 2015, they became the first black female-led organization to distribute a film in the UK with Dear White People.
That is amazing. Are you there, Priscilla?
Priscilla,
I'm going to come and get you.
Don't be scared, don't be scared.
Please clap louder, come on.
Clap, clap, clap.
Next up, we've got Dr. Anne-Marie Imafidon, she co-founded STEMET, if you've heard of STEMET. It's an award-winning social initiative dedicated to inspiring and promoting the next generation of young women in the STEM sectors, which has exposed more than 60,000 girls across Europe to have a more diverse and balanced science and tech community. And also, she's like on one of my favourite shows, Countdown on Channel 4. So please put your hands together.
A huge round of applause.
Huge round of applause for Dr. Anne-Marie.
Yvonne Thompson CBE, known as a game changer, activist, public inspirer, and coach, with 39 years experience in communications, advising corporates and public sector clients, first one to start a huge UK black community, including the first black-owned PR company, the first legal black-owned radio station, Choice FM.
We're going to have a talk about this because she
talk.
will know my dad that I was talking about earlier, Joe Douglas.
Yeah.
So I'm
Oh
going
my
to take
gosh,
her off
yeah.
stage and we'll have a little chat about that,
And
yes.
of course, the UK's first Black Women Business Network.
Please put your hands together for Yvonne Thompson.
Thanks.
This is so, so exciting. We have to end this conference strong. And I mean, every single one of you are incredible. I want you all to talk a bit more about your initiatives that you're up to currently and what you've done in the past as well. Let's start with Yvonne.
Hello. Yeah, here we go. So how much time have you got? You heard he said 39 years, right? So, hi, everyone. Hi, don't be shy. Come on. Hi, everyone. Hi. Okay, so as you heard, my name is Yvonne Thompson. I started my life as a journalist in PR, and one of the things that I did, I was very focused on making sure that I tried to become a mainstream journalist. That didn't quite work, except for the music press. My journey started off at CBS Records, which is now known as Sony BMG, all those many years ago. And as far as people of color are concerned in in record companies, I'm not sure how much has changed. There probably is still a bit more than when I was there. But I was there for 7.5 years, and I got moved around. Every time I applied for a job moving up, I was moved across. And that was good, because I got a good, idea of all the different departments, or most of them anyway. I think it was the third or fourth time of applying to do the job I was subbing for anyway, and I didn't get it. I did what girls do, or what girls did 30 odd years ago. Run to the ladies, cried my heart out, came back, handed my notice in, left and didn't look back. I started the first black-owned PR company. Through the PR company, I met a couple of incredible men, Neil Kenlock and Patrick Berry, who worked on or owned Root Publications. I doubt if any of you in the room are old enough to know what that, but that was the first black-owned monthly glossy magazine in the UK, and I did the music editing. I'm going to try and make this short, because I know you guys want to speak. So through them, they invited me to be on a panel or on a board that was going to pitch for a radio station. We got together, we pitched for the radio station, but one of the things, well, the first one we didn't get it, and you'll never guess which radio station did get it. Starting with K. Kiss FM. So Kiss FM got the first license that was advertised for black music. Oh, wow. We then pitched again, and we got the license. The next thing was, how was I going to get the money to pay my part of the investment? I was so eager, so desperate to raise the money to be part of Choice FM. I became a very good salesperson, and I persuaded my parents to remortgage their house. Wow. To lend me the money. And they did. They believed in me. It's amazing how many people didn't believe in me, but they believed in me. And, one of the comments I got with somebody I worked with at the time, which I will never, ever forget, He said to me, "You're wasting your time and your money. Black music will never take on." Wow. I wish I could find him now and just ask him to tell me that again. So that was the beginning of my journey in the music industry. I'm going to fast track it. After that, I started the first Black-owned PR company, worked on Capital Radio Music Festival, actually, one of our first things, toured the world with reggae bands, like through Reggae Sunsplash, the whole festival. So much. If you want to know more, come and ask me later. But I went on to sit on many boards. I went on to advise government bodies on business. I hate to say it, but I have advised the Conservative government on minority-owned businesses. For me, it's not so much about who is in power, it's the business. It's the businesses and how the businesses will benefit from how I advise them. So I still do that. And right now, my two biggest passions is my Women in Business network, which is 25 years old this year. And thank you. Older than you, isn't it? Older than a lot of you in here. And my latest passion is chairing the Black Cultural Archives. And I just want to give you a little snippet about that because it concerns two women sitting on this stage. And so as my chair's, what I call coming out in the nicest possible way, campaign, I decided that we needed to encourage the Black Cultural Archives to engage with more young people, to encourage, by the way, it's 40 years old. Well, it was 40 years old during COVID, but I'm still celebrating the 40 years. And I'm doing a campaign called 40 by 40. So we have approached 40 what we identify as future leaders, young future leaders, to be part of this campaign. And as you go around the city, have a look around because you might just see that young lady on a poster, a Clear Channel poster, the big posters, the big street posters, the posters in shopping centres, on the tubes. Watch out for it. It's around until the end of this month. So that's the 40 by 40. Can I just ask how many of you have ever heard of the Black Cultural Archives? Not enough. Not enough. But so if I ask you again, how many of you have heard of the Black Cultural Archives? You're all supposed to put your hands up now because I've just told you. So do keep an eye out. I invite you to come down, see what we're all about. And on the 19th, this young lady is going to be one of the 40s that's going to be recognized as a future leader. So do give her a round of applause.
Thank you, Yvonne.
And I begged this lady, but she just refused me. So next time.
Thanks so much, Yvonne. I have so many questions for you, but we'll come back to you. Anne-Marie?
My name's Anne-Marie, and when Yvonne emailed me, I didn't reply, and now I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life. You may have seen me on Countdown doing the numbers. Earlier this year, I do lots of different things, a bit like Yvonne, actually. You kind of, when you find out you're good at one thing, people tend to pull you into lots of different things, and you're like, yeah, actually, I could do that too. Yeah, let me give it a go. My day job, my main job, is that I run a social enterprise called STEMETS, which is 10 next year, which I think you're about 10, Yvonne. No, I'm being nice. Anyway, and we work with young people, specifically young women and young non-binary people aged from 5 up to 25, to engage, inform, and connect them to STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and maths, and also STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and maths. And we do that via free, fun-filled, food-filled initiatives, programs, events, and opportunities. As you heard there at the top, we've worked with more than 60,000 young people across the UK, Europe, and sometimes beyond, actually, during the pandemic. So I do that because it's really important. I've got a new book out that features a little bit of why this is really important, a little bit of a plug, nice visual aid. It does match with my nails, yes, for those of you who are close enough to notice. And for me, everything that I'm doing, even though it might look very different, it might look like it's different hats and in different places, all of it is hinges on the fact that I love technology. So I have always been really curious, have always liked to understand how things work, which some of you may, recognize in yourselves. I've always wanted to do something with that knowledge. It's not just great to know everything. It's like, what did you do with the everything that you knew? And so I have always been into science, technology, engineering, maths, more the technology and the maths. I was one of these child prodigy kids. So some of you, your parents might have held me up in a newspaper at one point being like, does she have two heads? I had 2 GCSEs by the time I left primary school, and I left Oxford with my master's in maths and computer science by the time I was 20. See? And I don't have 2 heads. And I have been really privileged to be able to understand a lot of the technology that is driving a lot of what's going on around the world now, a lot of what's happening in our workplaces, a lot of what's happening in our governance and in our legislation, a lot of what's happening in the banking system, a lot of this technology. And I kind of am sat here in this position where I can kind of see what will happen if we don't have enough women, if we don't have enough Black people, if we don't have enough folks who have disabilities, if we don't have different types of people involved in making these technical decisions. And so everything that I'm doing at the moment is trying to avoid that Terminator 2, Black Mirror, dystopian eventuality where, our grandchildren marry the robots and they kill us by accident. So that's why I do what I do. So I wake up every morning. And so whether it's being on Countdown, whether it's being a trustee at the Institute for the Future of Work, whether it's any of the TV work, whether it's getting to speak on stages around the world, I'm just desperately trying to change things now before it's too late. So that's a summary of myself and all my initiatives.
And just to add, we had 50 books to give out today, but they didn't arrive, so...
Don't look at me, it's not...
Watch out for our social media, we'll be giving this out for free.
Someone else not reading their emails, that's what it is.
Say, Anne-Marie, your book says, I'm in control. So why aren't the books here?
No, it says she. So you have to ask she. Ask the she. The cat's mother knows where the books are.
It's fine. Let's go to Priscilla.
Hi, everyone. My name is Priscilla Igwe, and I run the New Black Film Collective. I'm really suffering from imposter syndrome right now. My God. 2 ladies. I'm just totally blown away by both of you, and you're just such inspirational figures, so God bless you too. But if you want to deal with some common, regular people, then you've got me. So, thank you. Okay. Thank you. We can't all be doctors. We can't all be CB, BB, MB, E, T, right? But I'm just holding it down. East End, Plaistow, all the grime since the big... Oh, thank you. You're too kind. So the New Black Film Collective, we are just a network of Black producers, programmers, educators, exhibitors of Black film. Positive Black film. About time, yeah? So, and I'm just so impressed with the talent, the Black British talent that's coming through. I just watched The Woman King recently. Hello, oh my gosh. John Boyega, Viola Davis, all the Black British talent. It just makes you feel like you can breathe, you can exhale, because the future is looking halfway decent. And the future is home, is our homeland. And I just want to inspire people and encourage people that your truth, your voice, your authentic journey is worthy. Okay, so don't feel like you have to sell yourself out. Don't feel like you have to code switch. Be you. So basically, the New Black Film Collective is here to help you do that. And film is a great place to try many, many different careers. I mean, right now, they're desperate for accountants, for instance. So there's nothing you can't do if you're into hair and makeup, if you're a carpenter, below the line, above the line. If you want to be a director, fantastic, but there's a good range of jobs. So whatever you're doing right now, there's bound to be transferable skills. So I'm just excited for the future of the New Black Film Collective. It was mentioned before, we've distributed the film. We want to be acquiring films as well as making films, and we want to be employing you guys. So don't run when you see me, yeah? I beg. So that's it in a nutshell. And yeah, I want to move on. And back to you, my dear.
Thank you. It's a round of applause. I really want to go to Yvonne, right? So we're in 2022, and we're still hearing we're the first black this, we're the first black that. And you're saying this was happening 40 years ago, right? How does that make you feel? And what can we do to change this so we're not having to always be the first, 40 years later?
Well, for me, 40 years ago, there were no people like Anne-Marie out there doing, there's so much more that we can do now than we did early 40 years ago. I hate saying 40 years ago. It makes me sound old, doesn't it? And there's just so much more that we can do, that you guys can do. It's all about you now. They didn't. I laid the ground for you. They're all so young. They're all so young. So, yeah, people of my generation paved the way. It's now for you guys to go in there and push those doors open. So you are not the only woman of color and the person of color in the room, and definitely not the only woman of color in the room, which I have been for very many, many years. And it's been a lonely journey, but it's a journey worth having, because you have to think about those who are coming behind you. Because if we don't, we'll still be we could have still been where we were 40 years ago. All I can say, it's up to you. It really is up to you. You've got the knowledge. Can I just tell you something? And I'm going to say something that I don't normally talk about. So I never went to university. I wasn't brainy enough. My daughter who is now 47, has 2 children, my grandchildren. But my daughter was the first person in my family to go to university. And I'm sure to you guys, going to university is just something you do. Is that right? How many of you are in or been or going to university? I would imagine the majority of you. Yeah. So I couldn't get into university. It just wasn't the done thing. Black people weren't going to university when I was being educated. I was one of the invisible black girls at my school. But I tell you what, I cannot find anybody who either went to my school or was in my age group that's doing any of the things that I've done, black or white, I hate to say, but that I've done. So I absolutely encourage you to go to university, do the best. I wish I could have done it. And I keep thinking, if only I had the opportunity to go to university,
There's
how
still
much
time.
more?
There's still time.
No, it's too late, trust me.
You've done so much.
Trust me, it's too late. Hold on. I've got 2 doctorates already.
Oh, there we go.
I don't need to go. I've been to the University of Life.
Yes. No, but wait, I still have some more questions for you, Yvonne. Just on black businesses, right? We still have these statistics about, black businesses not getting funding, not scaling, and just still on this kind of journey. You grew Choice FM and, so many other companies. But with Choice FM, tell us a bit more about that journey and also why you had to sell.
I knew you'd ask that. Everybody asked that. Just as a show of hands, how many people here know of Choice FM?
Of course.
Oh my God. I am always heartened and humbled because I don't think people of your age really know anything about Choice FM, except that it's now called Capital Extra, and it doesn't sound anything like Choice FM. But yeah, I mean, it was a great journey. I think we changed a lot of attitudes, we changed a lot of mindsets. I mean, during my time, being your age, you know, to be black was not aspirational. Now, everything, what's the saying? Black is the new white. Black is, because everything we do is aspirational right now. Aspirational and inspirational. So grab it and make the use of it. But when Choice FM was around, I think we really helped to push the, what was that? Oh, you're too young to know that. Yes. Well, back then, it was a good thing. Now, maybe not so much. Maybe not so much. But so we really pushed the boundaries. I think we changed a lot of attitudes. We changed a lot of mindsets. We opened a lot of doors. When Choice FM came, we encouraged and we were able, or black businesses were able to advertise on radio. Even now, unless you are brave enough to advertise on a pirate radio station, you can't, well, certainly I can't afford to advertise on Capital Radio and all those other radio stations. I don't know many black businesses that can, but we don't need that. We've got social media and we're all brilliant at that, I think. But yeah, with Choice FM, eventually we had to sell because the community they loved our music, they loved everything we did. As I said, even at that time, even though we were really, you know, the rates we were charging were just next to nothing, the community still couldn't support Choice FM. So we had to make a decision. Do we let it run down or do we sell it? And obviously, we decided to sell it. The first time we tried to sell it was very close to 9/11. And in fact, I think 2 weeks after 9/11, we were about to get something like 80 million for Choice FM. Wow. Back then. 9/11 happened. Nobody would touch it. Nobody had any money. It took us 3 or 4 years thereafter to build it back up. And then at that point, one of the major radio station groups, which is now known as Global, bought it for half the price. But for us, it was still worth it because we made $1 million or $2 million.
Amazing. You were able to give your parents back that money that they...
Loads over.
Amazing. And just a bit on support, right? Right now we've got Amory who's just released a book. So even though we're giving out some free books, BYP did buy the books, of course. It'll be great for people to support, right? Because when the community doesn't support, this is what happens, right? We can't grow. And so we're grateful for support because that's how we grow. And it tends to be for us. So, you know, Amory, tell us a bit more about your book and why people should buy it.
So this is my book. It's called She's in Control and She is the Cat's Mother. It's about how women, so the subtitle is How Women Can Take Back Tech. And this is a practical guide on how to get started on a technical journey. And this is something, I get to meet lots of people. I understand that a lot of folks didn't have, you know, the love of tech, maybe the curiosity, or had that kind of knocked out of them maybe when they were younger. And so there are a lot of people who are still fearful of a lot of the things that we might call technology, who feel like they break the computer all the time, or who even feel like they're artsy, and so tech doesn't really mean anything to them. And so what I cover in the book is the history of how actually women have been incredibly technical for a long time. Some of you may have seen Hidden Figures, the movie. So you see the kind of the ladies at NASA who were computers before computers took their job, which we should kind of always, remember, clock that one. But also about the history that we have. So we wouldn't have CCTV, for example, if not for a black woman. We wouldn't have our little blue dot that we follow around, right? Auntie Gladys West. Her name is Gladys West, but I call her Auntie Gladys. And, you know, we wouldn't have that global positioning system, the Gladys positioning system, if not for her, you know, a little girl that grew up on a farm, African-American girl that grew up on a farm, who didn't want to be on the farm for her whole life. So was like, I'm going to learn a skill, I'm going to learn mathematics, and now has been able to, you know, see triangles between satellites. So anywhere you are, I mean, I don't know if you've noticed that. Even when you don't have signal, your phone knows where you are, right? That's the strength of the innovation that she pulled together. And so I look a little bit about the history of it all, the herstory, I call it, because it's that untold story. A little bit about why folks don't feel like maybe tech is for them and have been excluded, and why it's important that we should be there making those decisions. But also, here's how to get started. And it can feel really hard to engage with it. You can feel like you need to be a genius. But I think, we're talking about stories. I've got stories of lots of people. You don't need to have done your GCSEs at 2 to be able to contribute. You can be someone who's got another skill that overlaps with the technology. And so if you're a lawyer, if you're an accountant, if you're none of the above, you're just a human being that has seen things, then actually there's a lot that you can contribute to these discussions. And we don't have to be at the mercy of the technology. It's ripe for the changing. That there's parts of the book that, it's called The Rest Is Yet Unwritten, because this is something that's still evolving. It's still changing now, and the challenges still need to be made. There's the example, and it bleeds into so many things. There's the example, this girl on TikTok, Elaine, who goes around and goes like, welcome to Tottenham. You guys have seen that, right? So before she started doing those videos, there's like a tweet that I have in my slides of her, and she'd tried to renew her passport photo. So she's a British citizen, she has a British passport, she was trying to renew her passport photo, had uploaded a photo that she'd taken, so she's trying to do it digitally, and it's come back and said, oh no, it looks like your mouth is open. Can you make sure that you take the photo again with your mouth closed, or let us know the medical reason why your mouth needs to be open for the passport photo? And it's really interesting because you look at Elaine and it's like, no, her mouth is very clearly shut in the photo. It's just that the algorithm doesn't recognize that if you've got darker skin, your top lip is a lot darker than your bottom lip. And so where it thinks that, no, they should be the same color, and so actually if there's something lighter, that means her mouth is open. Like, can you imagine it not seeing us to that point? And then and that's just for renewing a passport. Who knows if Elaine missed a holiday, or, maybe we wouldn't have had the TikToks, if that hadn't happened to her. But, it's things like that then if you think of driverless cars, which are coming, if any of you have been in a Tesla or anything like that recently, you can see as you're driving along, it's identifying what's on the road. It's identifying cones, it's identifying lampshades, it's identifying other cars. It can tell the difference between a car and a van. But would it be able to tell the difference between Elaine's top lip and bottom lip? Or if we zoom out, between whether Elaine is on the road or whether it's a gorilla on the road? Because that has really happened. Wow. I don't know if they're a sponsor, so I won't say anything controversial, but a couple of years ago, another company that released this into the wild, and this was image recognition software that identified black people as gorillas, and their response was to remove the tag gorilla from the system. And you've got to think, these things have implications. Another one, I've got a whole chapter called The Future of Work. And this technology, obviously, it's not just in the outside, it's happening in workplaces. We're using technology to hire people. We're using technology to aid in recruitment. We're using technology to manage workforces. As I mentioned, I'm a trustee at the Institute for the Future of Work. A couple of years ago, we did a bit of analysis of some of these technologies being used in the workplace and found one particular algorithm that was being used, and these are all real examples, you can go look it up, that was being used to help manage a particular workforce in retail. So it was tracking where they were on the shop floor, it was trying to read sentiment and read their faces, and we all know how that goes, was feeding that in, and then was helping managers make decisions on shifts, on pay, and on promotions. And again, if we can't tell us apart, what's it going to do? It's going to give me more erratic shifts. If it can't tell us apart, how is it going to make a good decision on pay? And what also ended up being kind of revealed was that this algorithm was programmed to pay people as little as possible for them to stay and promote them as late as possible in order for them to stay. And again, you've got to read the context in these things. Like, that's something that someone has really put into a company. And so I think it's important for all of us to not just be at the mercy of these things, but you can step into those rooms. Even if you don't know the technology, you can say, okay, how is it making that decision? What have you done to ensure that there's no biases? And if there are biases, what are the mitigations that you've done? What else have you built around it to say, it's not just computer says no, but if computer says no, here's what we're going to do in addition to make sure that we're making the right decisions. And so for me, it's really, really important we do this. We get in and we're there now. And we're solving more problems than those that are being created by technology. And that's going to involve lots of she's being in control, but lots of people just building a little bit of technical literacy So if someone says, I'm using the algorithm, you're not just like, oh, great, the algorithm's here. You know, we're going to bow down to the algorithm. Whatever computer says no, we're going to go with no. But challenge, ask those questions, and use the small, whatever you know about the metaverse, small, whatever you know about cyber, whatever your small is, you know, take that, add it to what else you know, and keep asking questions, keep pushing. And like you've used technology to build your platform, to build this out to solve a problem. More people could be doing that, and we could be solving so many problems if it was in the right hands and people are asking the right questions.
I feel like I can ask you so many questions on that. That's its own kind of Q&A. But one thing you've touched on is about Black excellence, right? Like you said, you don't have to be 2 years old to do a GCSE and then, you know, succeed in life. What is your view on Black excellence and just on the fact that we as Black people should be able to achieve regardless of who we are?
So as someone who is, you know, conventionally excellent, I guess I could say, I think... and I say that as in jest, but I also say, you know, there's a serious point. This is the movie or the film that they were talking about just before, right? Of people who graduated from Oxford and still didn't find jobs, right? Not that that's real life, but, you know, it's things that's happened. And I think it's really, we have to be careful and be mindful of this idea of Black excellence, hard to say. But, you know, it's excellence according to who and in what. And I think it's also, there's got to be a multiplicity. There is a multiplicity. We've got to recognize the multiplicity of excellences. You can be excellent in different ways that are all of value. So it shouldn't just be you did your GCSE at 2 and you went to Oxford and that's the only definition of excellence. That's not the only way. I don't have all the answers. I'm not Jesus Christ. I didn't come here to save your sins, right? And it's really important. There are things I do not know. There are things I am still learning. I don't know it all, you know? And so I think it's really important to recognize that there are different excellences and to allow ourselves to be excellent in different ways and to recognize that and not just say this person has proximity to this or this person has the markers of what I've seen as excellent elsewhere and that's the only thing that I'm going to take. But I think it is also important to recognize that we have so many different skills, so many different things that we can contribute. And, you know, something like you're much more likely to win a Nobel Prize in the sciences if you've engaged with the arts, right? We've all seen, I'm sure, Legally Blonde, right? And she wins the court case based on her in-depth knowledge of perms. Like, there's all these small things that we know that aren't traditionally recognized. Like, folks will have heard of this idea of, like, decolonizing the curriculum. And it's like, that's a traditional, not even traditional, that's very white-centric, Eurocentric definition. And it's like, no, there are other things that are excellent that haven't been recognized by particular folks. And we can't just ignore it or see ourselves as lesser because it's not excellent as defined by such and such. And so, not to always bring everything back to the book, but I know that was the point of the question. In the book, I do have lots of different people who haven't been to university, who haven't studied STEM, who, you know, are coming at this. One person is a dancer. She's a trained dancer. And she took her love of dance and wanting to dance with people in different places. She ended up, you know, learning about virtual bodies. Now we've had a lockdown, and she's, you know, in her she turns 60 next week. Now we've had a lockdown. She's been doing this virtual bodies, metaverse thing for decades, right? As a dancer who just wanted to dance with someone at distance. And so I think it's about how do you marry those things together and define your own type of excellence, and you're able to recognize different types of excellence in other people because everyone is excellent at something.
Exactly, amazing. Thank you so much. And that is it, right? Telling our story. Everyone has their own unique story and everyone is excellent within themselves. So the key thing here is, what is your story? What story will you leave us today, you know, and go out into the world? Because everyone's story matters. So going into Priscilla, let's just hear a bit more about the New Black Collective and kind of how you're playing your part in telling our stories.
Absolutely. It's just amazing to create a story because you can create your own world, you know, especially on paper, like you've done in your book. There's no restrictions. I mean, when it comes to film, you have budgets and all that sort of stuff to worry about. But I feel with the New Black Film Collective, we cover production, exhibition, distribution, film education, which is massive, and PR. And in all those different strands, it's kind of the ecosystem of film. And what we wish to do is to ensure the success, the box office success of black film. And so what we're passionate about is bringing together, you talk about excellence, people doing small and their little things, and it's an impact, it snowballs. So we gather together film exhibitors, people who run their own film clubs, film festivals, which range from the Batimama, which is an amazing queer programmer, Hakim Kazim, big up that guy, to kind of somebody I call the godfather of film, Charles Thompson with Screen Nation. He's been going for a very long time. But through that, they have their flavor of black, as it were. And, you know, they bring a particular voice. So I want to bring black talent, producers, filmmakers, with their content, meet with the exhibitors, and get those films out to market. You are the marketplace. And so by you buying a ticket to a film, you are supporting directly. So very, very important that you go out and buy that ticket for It's the Blackness. When it comes out next year, we'll be supporting it as well. So these are the ways that we can contribute in a massive way.
Amazing, thank you. And I'm just conscious of time, and I know there are audience questions, so actually let's hear from the audience.
Yeah, there are actually quite a few questions for Dr. Amory. How did you get your job at Countdown? And how did you react to the backlash? How did you feel and react to the backlash when you got the job?
I mean, I'll tell you, the backlash one, I've been a black woman for 30 years. That's what I had to tell everybody. If it was the Times, whoever asked me, I was like, you know, I've been black since before today. It's not my fault that I'm the first black woman that these people have seen that can do maths. I'm the first one. It's not my fault. If you see that and you're allergic to it, that sounds like a you problem. It's not a me problem. I mean, there's a lot of us that can do maths, right? You know. So how did I get the job? I speak a lot, like I said, and I present a lot. And I've presented with Rachel Riley on occasion. When she knew she was pregnant again, and lockdown had happened, and whatever, they couldn't do what they did the first time. She actually, you know, put me forward as one of the names to stand in for her and step in for her. And for some reason, I said yes.
We're clapping for yeses.
Yeah, say yes, even if you don't know how it's going to work.
This is it.
You don't have all the details. It was 5 episodes a day, 3 days on the trot.
Wow.
Some of those things, we literally have dinner and then go back. And I was like, why does she do this job? But also, keep the job, like, you know? So now I'll step in every now and then. I recorded 2 episodes, actually, of 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown a couple of months ago. That will be out next year. Oh, nice. That was fun. Is this being recorded? Was it not being streamed?
Is this recorded? It's streamed.
I mean, I don't know if my parents will see this, but yeah, try recording. Some of you have seen 8 out of 10. It's like after Watershed, my Nigerian parents decided that they were going to support. And I literally had to put in the WhatsApp group, I was like, folks, whatever you see when we're in that studio, please, I do not want to be held responsible for what you are seeing. And, you know, my poor brother had to explain some of the jokes to my dad.
Oh, man.
But yeah, next question.
There is actually another one for you. Framery, I know you come from an impressive academic family. Do you think being in an environment that was constantly excelling also helped you grow up?
100%. And I think it's really important, and it's not, I mean, I've never raised children, so, you know, you've got to ask my parents for some of that. But I think it's really important to recognize the sphere of influence that you have and the role modeling that you can do and you do, whether you want to or not, for others around you. I think it definitely, in our house, you know, these things became the norm. I am the eldest, so I can also say everybody was copying me, but I think it is that thing of like, what are the norms that you set? If I was doing GCSEs, I actually did them because my cousin is 4 years older than me. And you know, when you're that age, you're like, I want to watch TV that you're watching, you're doing these GSCE things, I want to do the GSCES. And then, you know, the other siblings behind me came like that, and so it became our norm. But I think it is important. This is why we're talking about stories. Like, if you know I exist, then you know that that can be possible when you see it in other people. And I still believe now that, and we see this in STEMETS all the time, if more people were given that opportunity, quite a lot of people would pass GCSEs in primary school. I'm not being modest, I'm just saying, you know, a lot. We think we know what excellence looks like. I turned up for my grad role, and my manager sat opposite me, and he was like, you look different from what I thought you would look like. And I was like, well, you expecting classes or what? You know, and there's all these things that we project onto others, and we think, oh no, if they were a genius, they would be doing this, or if they were going to pass a GCSE, they've been doing that. And so I think in my house, it was like, just give it a go. And I failed things in my life. I failed things all the time. You know, but it's part and parcel of just have the opportunity and lean into it. And my parents didn't kill us when we broke things in the house. That was the other thing, which now I couldn't do as a parent. I'd be like, you better put it back together again. But yeah, I think it definitely helps. Your environment's really important. And so I think it's important for us to recognize the environments that we create for others around us and the sphere of influence that we have. Because it does add up, you know, it does have an impact. It definitely does.
Very much. One last question for everyone is kind of what advice would you give to everyone here today on how to tell their stories?
Okay. I think talking and tapping back into what we've been saying about technology, the internet, wow, game changer. And it's been amazing to see people's careers blow up from, say, YouTube, for instance. So I think having that, I mean, we've seen Isha Rae with Insecure, Ajani Salma now, Dreaming Once Black. So you can take control. She's in control, we're in control. And you are more powerful than you think. So believe, please, God, believe in yourself. And just follow your passion, whatever it is.
I think to add to that, I think it's a really important thing to document. Like, document the story and document the small as well as the big. It's not just the achievements, it's the failures, it's the inane, it's the everyday, and getting into that as a habit. I mean, even with Issa Rae, that was something she got into the habit. You know, she didn't miss a beat. She completed the season and she put them up. You don't have to do anything on that level of production, but it's a really important thing. Like, even just for you to reflect back on where you were and where you are now is so important, especially that we've got this privilege of the internet where you can start a blog on your own, you know? You don't need to rely on having a radio license. You don't need to rely on a newspaper writing. You can write your own story on your own terms, on your own server.
You DIY now.
You know, and you can do that. So I think it's definitely something, just start somewhere. And then in reflecting back, you'll be like, maybe I should tweak that, or I should do that. Or, oh yeah, I can't believe I used to be like that, right? And you can see the progress, and that allows you to know and see the value of your own story live for yourself. So I think definitely get into that habit. And the way I normally say it is kind of find a comfortable way to be visible. If you're going to own your narrative, maybe it's blogging, maybe it's Instagramming, maybe it's vlogging, maybe it's on GitHub, whatever it is, find the way that's comfortable for you and be in that habit and keep documenting your narrative, because if you don't own it, someone else will write it, and they're not going to write it correctly. They're not going to write it right. It's not going to bang like if you did it.
So consistency is key.
Well, I think they've said it all, actually, because, again, everybody, and I will keep going back to 40 years ago, we did not have the access. We did not have the opportunities. We did not have the knowledge. There's so many things that you guys have. You think you have it hard now. You should have been born during our time, or my time. We all carry around one of these. When I started work, one of these was the size of, probably that thing over there, huge. We now all carry our lives around in our pockets. And when you want to tell your story, the moment you think of anything, just speak into it. You don't have to write it. I think writing is a very good way of doing things because you feel it and you own it more. But it's such a great way of just making a note to yourself, sending an email to yourself, whatever you need to do, and it's there for you to pick up anytime. And as far as all the social media is concerned, well, if you're brave enough, go ahead and do all the things they do some of the things they do on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Snapchat, Be Real, whatever. It's there. Do it. Just do it. No,
thank you.
Just do it.
Thank you so much. Can we get a big round of applause from everybody? You can go? Yeah.
Ladies, you're incredible. Thank you so much.
Amazing.
Please clap them again as they leave the stage. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Sadly, we are coming towards the end of the day. But Kike, where you going? We're not asking some questions. Come on, come back, come back.
You're not leaving us just
Please
yet.
do not leave us. Look, what's your biggest takeaway from today's leadership conference?
Power, like that we have to step into our power. So, you know, we had truth to power in the beginning, we had telling our story, and we had kind of like activism. But all of it is about us stepping into our shine and just knowing who we are and the fact that our voices matter and that our experiences, as unique as they are all important for the story.
Yeah, definitely. Where are BYP going now, and what should we expect from BYP in the future?
Oh, big question. I mean, right now, BYP Network, we do so much with the community, with our corporate clients. So we have a job board. So many people don't know that. You know, all our clients post jobs all the time, and do check it out. It's bypjobs.com. We have our mentorship program as well. So again, we have employees that want to mentor you guys. And if you want to be a mentor, you can also sign up. And that's a program that has got a lot of people jobs, confidence, you know, and connections. Our conference, Touchwood, we're taking it abroad next year. Won't say where, but we're taking it
Wait, can we come? Can we come?
We love them today, so yes, you guys are invited. And at the same time, you know, something that I'm so excited about and very passionate about is our BYPeers initiative. So essentially that has BYP in different countries, different cities, different professions as well. So we've hosted events in Lagos, Nairobi, Dubai, New York, and we really want to expand that. We want you to go to any city around the world and see a BYP network. Know that it's there, know that you can meet your community, meet your people. And that's really the aim of BYP, to just spread this. This needs to be everywhere, right? Not just confined to us here.
Any more final words?
Just thank you all so much for coming. Honestly, it's so lovely to be back in person.